just want to say in very general terms before I begin the presentation that the Sun Center, the Society for the Understanding of Nutrition, exists for the investigation and dissemination of knowledge of the effect of nutrition on human behavior and general health welfare. There will be copies of the presentation available to you in somewhat more detail than I'm going to read it at the end of our program here. Now, the subject tonight is food additives and their effects on human behavior and general health. First, I would like to mention the role of food and food additives in hyperactivity, learning disabilities, and minimal brain dysfunction. Food additives have been studied in animal experiments primarily for pathological effects. However, testing for the effects of food additives on behavior, that is human behavior, is not routine and has never been carried out. The fetus and the newborn have not developed the mechanisms to detoxify and excrete a variety of drugs and environmental chemicals. In experiments with mice, it has been shown that maternal residual, that is postnatal, chemical effects may be mediated directly via the milk of the nursing mother or indirectly by causing changes in the mother's behavior. Thus, it appears evident that a large number of chemicals, including food additives in the environment, have adverse effects on the human organism, including the brain, the integrity and preservation of our children's health, particularly as it applies to the brain. Our children will be the leaders of tomorrow's society, and I fear for the future of Western civilization. In my estimation, the human brain is our most valuable and at the same time our most vulnerable asset. It appears to be the most threatened shock organ in the ecologic maladaptation to our environment, as exhibited by the incidence of mental disease in the adolescent and adult populations, and the high incidence of brain dysfunction in our children as manifested in hyperactivity, hyperkinesis, learning disabilities, emotional disturbances, vandalism, retardation, autism, schizophrenia, etc. Without properly functioning brains, we cannot hope to cope with tomorrow's problems. Now, leaving Dr. McLennan's remarks, and in conclusion, considering all the findings on the effects of food additives on general health, and especially preservation of our children's health, particularly the function of their brains, we ask for the following immediate measurements to be taken. First, longitudinal studies made to assess the long-term and/or delayed effects of food additives on biological functions and behavior. Second, regular examinations to be conducted of safety standards for the use of all food additives in the light of continuing research. Third, measures to be taken to ensure proper nutrition in pregnancy, childhood, and adulthood. Fourth, the avoidance of the sale or availability of junk food in schools. Fifth, all ingredients and the components of ingredients added to food to be listed by their generic name on the labels of all food products to enable hypersensitive individuals to avoid the ingredients to which they are sensitive. Present regulations allow many additives not to be listed provided they comply with the government requirements, or GRAS, generally considered safe levels of chemicals. And sixth and final, ban the use of artificial coloring in foodstuffs.
Presently, the Department of Health and Welfare permits the use of 32 of the following food coloring agents. I will not read it because it's a terribly long list. But anyway, they are 21 which are of natural origin, that means taken from the nature, from plants and other things, and 9 of them are synthetic. Altogether, we have 32 colors in our food. If our children in school can use 6 or 12 pencils, color pencils, and they can still make nice pictures, why we should have in our color, in our food, 32 different colors and 9 of them synthetic, especially if we know that injecting those colors can induce malignant tumors, and if we know that the content of these food colors in the food can induce in many children behavior problems, hyperactivity, and so I think
Any kind of opposition from the food companies who use the additives, or the chemical companies who make them?
not so far. We are too young organization. Dr. Epstein accused many of the food companies and similar companies from falsification of the results, and apparently the whole matter has been going to court. What was done that the animals which were fed by the food additives and after that were sacrificed were considered according to the opinion of the food companies and their experts as the animals which didn't develop any changes. But when the testing of those histological findings was verified by the independent experts, it has been found that there were malignant changes. That there were definitely malignant changes, and it was not an overlook. And the people who did put the final results were very well paid for their evaluation, which was different from the reality.